What if I told you that the man who would one day beat Messi and Ronaldo to football's biggest prize was once a terrified little boy running from a war? Before the Ballon d'Or, before the Champions League trophies, before millions of fans knew his name, Luka Modrić was just a refugee. A child surrounded by bullets, explosions, and fear. While most kids dreamed of becoming footballers, Luka was simply trying to survive another day. His family lost everything. His hometown became a battlefield, and tragedy struck before he was even old enough to understand why. Yet somehow, against every setback, every prediction, and every person who said he was too small, too weak, and not talented enough, he kept moving forward. Until one day, the refugee boy who once ran from war stood on football's biggest stage, lifting trophies, conquering Europe, and doing something nobody thought was possible, ending the Messi and Ronaldo era. And the craziest part? That wasn't even the most unbelievable thing he survived. This is the incredible story of Luka Modrić. Luka was born on September 9th, 1985, in the small Croatian village of Modrić. It wasn't the kind of place where football superstars were supposed to come from. It was quiet, rural, and far removed from the bright lights of Europe's biggest stadiums. But when Luka was just 6 years old, everything changed. War swept across Croatia, turning ordinary lives into daily battles for survival. Families were forced to flee their homes. Villages were destroyed. Fear became part of everyday life. And then, tragedy struck Luka's family. His grandfather, the man he loved dearly, was killed during the conflict. Luka was only a child. Suddenly, football didn't matter. Survival did. His family became refugees, living in hotels alongside hundreds of others displaced by war. Most children his age were worried about school or playing with friends. Luka was growing up surrounded by uncertainty. But even in the middle of chaos, one thing never left him: football. Whenever he had the chance, he kicked a ball around parking lots, hallways, and empty spaces near the refugee hotels. While bombs echoed in the distance, Luka was dreaming about football. Years later, that same boy would go on to play more than 1,000 professional matches and become one of the most respected midfielders in football history. The funny thing is, nobody looked at Luka and saw a future superstar. He was tiny, skinny, quiet. Coaches questioned whether he was strong enough. Scouts doubted whether he could survive professional football. Some believed he simply didn't have the physical tools to make it. Imagine hearing that about a future Ballon d'Or winner. But every criticism became fuel. Every doubt became motivation. Every setback pushed him forward. The same player they called too small would eventually become one of the most decorated midfielders in football history. Luka joined Dinamo Zagreb's academy and quickly became known for something special. Not his size, not his speed, his mind. He could see passes before anyone else. He could control the rhythm of a match. He could make football look effortless. Yet even then, many people still underestimated him. After loan spells and years of development, Luka finally earned his opportunity on a bigger stage. Tottenham Hotspur brought him to the Premier League. But once again, the doubts returned. Too small, too weak, not built for English football. Sound familiar? Luka answered the only way he knew how: on the pitch. By the time he left Tottenham, he had made more than 150 appearances and established himself as one of the Premier League's best midfielders. Then came the move that changed everything: Real Madrid, the biggest club in world football. But the dream start never came. In fact, Luka's first season was so difficult that one Spanish newspaper voted him the worst signing in La Liga. Think about that for a second. The worst signing. Most players never recover from a label like that. Luka did something different. He ignored it. Year after year, he improved. Year after year, he proved people wrong. Real Madrid began winning, then winning more, then dominating Europe. Champions League titles started piling up. One became two, two became three, three became four, then five. Across more than 550 appearances for Real Madrid, Luka became the heartbeat of one of the greatest teams football has ever seen. Then came 2018, the year everything changed. Luka led Croatia, a nation of fewer than 4 million people, all the way to the World Cup Final. Against the odds, Croatia conquered giants. They survived 3 consecutive knockout matches that went to extra time. And their captain was at the center of everything. The little refugee boy who once ran from war was now carrying an entire nation on his shoulders. His performances earned him the World Cup Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. Croatia fell just short in the final, but Luka's story wasn't finished, because later that year, football witnessed something nobody thought possible. For a decade, the Ballon d'Or belonged to 2 men, Messi, Ronaldo, over and over again. 10 consecutive years of dominance. Then Luka Modrić broke the cycle. He won the Ballon d'Or. He won FIFA's best player. He won UEFA Men's Player of the Year. Not because he scored the most goals, not because he had the biggest headlines, but because he had mastered the game itself. From refugee camps to the Bernabeu. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe to Football Beyond Goals. Your support helps us create more football documentaries like this and share the incredible journeys behind the game's greatest players. Now, let's continue Luka Modric's story. From war zones to the World Cup Final, more than 1,000 professional appearances, more than 180 matches for Croatia, more than 550 matches for Real Madrid, 5 Champions League titles, 1 Ballon d'Or. Luka Modric's story is bigger than football. It's proof that circumstances don't define your future. Because sometimes the smallest kid in the room ends up conquering the world.